Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dameon Nelson coming to you here from MaxSportsOnline.com with a look at SummerSlam 2006. Welcome back to the wrap-up. Thank all of you for tuning in here on MaxSportsOnline.com. Let's talk about it. SummerSlam 2006, August 20th, coming to you from the Boston, formerly known as the Fleet Center, now the TD, I believe, I forget what it's called now, but anyways, the former Fleet Center. SummerSlam opens up with 16,168 people sold out. Michael Cole opens it up on the Smackdown side. The matchup is Chavo Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Chavo Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, I give that match a C+, as Chavo goes on to win after interference from Vicky Guerrero, Eddie's wife. Interesting thing in this match, folks, was the chants, or the boos, rather, against Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio falling out of favor with a lot of fans, specifically out in the East Coast, where they were tonight. Even more interesting is the poor acting of Vicky. Please stop fighting! Please stop fighting! Hopefully we've seen the end of that angle, but I doubt very seriously that we have, as Chavo Guerrero goes over in this match over Rey Mysterio, coming out of retirement for one match only, quote-unquote. From there, we see the meeting of the champs, which has become ceremonious on dual-brand pay-per-views, or now tri-brand pay-per-views. Edge and Booker T go face-to-face, and they challenge each other to, if either of them loses the title, the other will appear on the other's program to either be a servant or kiss the feet of the other. We'll talk more about why that won't happen later on in this wrap-up. Sabu takes on the Big Show in the ECW Championship main event. Joey Styles and Taz call the action from ringside. And it is a match that is hardcore rules for the ECW Championship. Lots of tables, lots of stairs, lots of chairs, and lots of missed spots as well. In this match that I graded a B-. It was sloppy. Just not a feature matchup on a big pay-per-view from an organization that was not the best they had to offer that night. There was literally no blood. It just was not an extreme match as it was billed as. However, Big Show wins, retains the ECW Championship, and we'll talk more about Big Show later on. Then we see the Divas. Lame. Hollywood Hulk Hogan goes one-on-one with Randy Orton. It's Legend versus Legend Killer again. Speculation has run wild that Hulk Hogan was not willing to do the JOB on the PPV in this match. Well, he didn't. Randy Orton loses, pinned 1, 2, 3 in the center of the ring by Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And Hogan is still looking pretty good, even though he's nursing that bad knee that he has. The match was actually pretty good, and Boston ate Hogan up. Hogan still delivers the excitement and the energy in the ring, and we saw that tonight as he goes over on Randy Orton. I give that matchup an A-. Just great delivery by both performers in that matchup. And then we saw what I feel probably should have been billed as the ECW main event. It was Mick Foley one-on-one with Ric Flair in an I Quit match. Melina gives Mick Foley a bit of a pep talk before stepping out to the ring in the matchup, where he dominates over a very, very bloody Ric Flair for the first few minutes of the matchup. Flair comes back, uses all kinds of weapons, barbed wire, Mr. Socko with barbed wire on it, chairs, barbed wire baseball bats, all kinds of tools used in this matchup, eventually all against a very bloody Mick Foley, before Melina comes out and saves the day, if you will, by putting herself between Mick and Rick, thus causing Mick Foley to actually quit. Melina threw in a towel, tried to end the match early. Referee did say that could end the match. However, Mick and Rick did not allow it, thus Melina getting in the way and Mick Foley quitting in an I Quit match. Whoever thought we would hear that, folks? Again, I think that match deserves an A-. I think it could have been the match that led the pay-per-view for the ECW side of things. When you look at the two matches side by side, Show, Sabu, Flair, and Foley, I think this was the more hardcore and edgier match of the evening. Just an amazing amount of blood and an amazing amount of intensity in that matchup, especially from Ric Flair. Then it was time for the Smackdown main event. Booker T goes King Booker goes one-on-one with Batista for the Smackdown Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship. This match was short, and the finish was unexpected. as it was a disqualification, thus allowing King Booker to continue to hail and long live as the World Heavyweight Champion. Again, folks, very short match, not exactly what I could have hoped for in this matchup, which could have delivered, and I think that the C rating that I give it is pretty much as high as I can go on that matchup. Average at best in this environment. Speaking of average, the next matchup was D-Generation X up against the McMahons. Now, it took a long while before the McMahons got in the ring because they called in all the troops, if you will. Mr. Kennedy, Big Show, all kinds of people. Finlay came into the matchup before Kane ultimately came out to give DX its much-needed hand. Speaking of hands, it looked like somehow or another Shawn Michaels injured his right arm or hand in that matchup. Very awkward ending to that match. But it was just a complete mess, in my opinion, that matchup. But entertaining for the fans in attendance just because of the melee it was. It almost reminds me of the main event. I believe it was '96 Royal Rumble when Owen and Brett wrestled each other, and it was just everybody who could have interfered in the match did. Similar situation tonight. However, D-Generation X gets the pinfall on the McMahons. Again, the match just a mess. And then it's the Raw main event, the main event of the night. Raw carried this broadcast, by the way, folks. The main event of the night, Edge one-on-one with John Cena. Edge one-on-one with John Cena for the WWE Championship. Edge guaranteed Booker T earlier he would win. Booker T had won his match by disqualification, so he would not be serving as Edge's servant on the match. But will Edge be kissing the foot of King Booker on SmackDown this week? Absolutely not, folks. In what I feel was the best match of the night by far, Edge retains the World Wrestling Entertainment Championship over John Cena in his hometown of Boston, where support was pretty overwhelmingly for Cena, by the way. But in a match where we saw Lita attempt to get Edge disqualified a couple times, Edge stopping her, Lita finally getting involved, a smashing brass knuckle shot to the back of the head of Edge is what ultimately, to the back of the head of Cena, is what ultimately caused Edge to win the match. Folks, again, best match of the night, and who would have thought the intensity level delivered by John Cena and returned by Edge is well worth mentioning, and thus giving this match an A+ for SummerSlam 2006. Overall, folks, the card was about a C+. Could have been better, but certainly could have been and has been a lot worse. If you want to see a worse SummerSlam, just pop in the tape from SummerSlam 1995 and you won't have much to complain about for this one, folks. For Max Sports, this is Dameon Nelson. We will see you on the next wrap-up and the next weekly edition of Max Sports. Thanks for tuning in, folks.